Welcome back, everybody, to episode 10 of the Jader and Kyle show. The show has been a lot of fun to be doing these past 10 weeks. Now, a month and a half we've been doing this, which is crazy to think.
Yeah,
Being
man.
very consistent in it, too, which is hard to do in these times. But it's a show where we break down a movie, go over some of the movie news going on in the world, sometimes talk about some Schmodown stuff, just what's going on. And we had a very good episode last week that was very relevant to what's going on. But this week we're gonna get back to a little bit more fun. But I'm not alone here. I'm joined by my buddy Jader. Jader, what's going on, man?
What up, world? What up, world? How we doing?
Yeah, it's been a long couple weeks with
Yeah,
this
man.
quarantine stuff going on. But
It's
now it feels like it's coming
it's
to an end.
it's I don't know, man. It's been getting crazier in my opinion.
Yeah,
I read. Did you? I don't know. If you read, it's terrible. About and I wish I had literally just read it maybe 20 minutes or 10 minutes actually before jumping on the show. About the young lady in South Africa. Did you read about that? No.
no, I haven't heard about that.
I mean, what I read, and I just read the the main title of the article apparently was stabbed and found hung on a tree in South Africa, and it's like it's happening everywhere, and apparently she was pregnant, which was even sadder. Not to start this off on a downer, but I don't think that this issue is going away anytime soon. And as beautiful as we've seen the world, just kind of bond together and stand up for justice, it's still like all the bad stuff is still happening, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it kind of kills the mood for the joke I was about to make. I was ready.
Sorry,
No, you're good. I
sorry,
was
buddy.
just ready to tell you that you look like a mix between Jeffrey Wright and Stanley Tucci right now.
There you go, bro. Look at that, yeah, with the head and the beard, huh?
Yeah, it's working though. It's a good look. But we want to talk about a little bit. We're gonna get to Back to the Future. Back to the Future is our big topic today. We're supposed to do it last week. We're gonna do all three movies later in the show. But first, we want to talk about what we've been watching since all this started in these past couple of weeks. I'll tell you before the show, but I'll tell you right now. So last year, I watched 205 films. I kept the list. I watched 205 different films.
You know
This
what's
year,
crazy? That to me sounds like such a low number,
Mhm.
but it's really not.
It's
Like,
not.
it's a lot of films. You did 2 to 3 a week?
Yeah, basically.
No, 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 no. I'm lying to you. There's 52 weeks in a year. So imagine that. If you double that, that's 100. You saw maybe 4 a week.
It's crazy. But yeah, so I was at 205 last year, and now I sit at this year currently 184.
Yeah.
And that like when I'm going into the quarantine, I had watched like maybe 50 something, and that was back in March, and now I'm at 184.
Jesus
So
Christ, dude.
I've been just trying to, get as much information as I can every single day, trying to explore new films. These are all different films too. I'm not watching repeat viewings right now, so it's been
You're counting brand new films that you've never seen before.
brand new films. And I've seen a couple of these multiple times this year, but this is just brand new, not brand new films. I'm sorry, different films I've watched. So
That's insane.
yeah, so like I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy before. I've watched it this year when we were leading up to the Marvel film. But
Yeah.
the majority of this list is films I've never seen before. So
Wow.
yeah, been putting in the work.
I mean, I've been watching movies too, babe, and I can't tell you I'm nowhere near 100 films for the year. Not at all.
Yeah, you just gotta,
And I've been watching a lot of repeat viewings. A lot.
yeah,
Because every time that I think about a film or a film is mentioned, or I'll mention a film that I'm just, like, oh man, it reminds me of this scene from this movie. Steph is like, oh, I've never seen that movie. So I'm like, and I ended up watching. Actually, when we remember we were supposed to do Back to the Future last week. So I don't know why I thought Apes was gonna win, and I started watching Planet of the Apes. I actually saw all three in one day.
Yeah.
I saw Rise, Dawn, and War in one day, in one sitting. But she had never seen them before, so it was a first time view for Steph. And mind you, saw all three in one day. So
those aren't easy movies to sit through too. Like I think the first one's pretty entertaining. The second one gets very deep, and then the third one is
even deeper.
Dreary. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a tough thing to do, to sit down on, what was that, like 9 hours or 8.5 hours worth of monkeys
About-
on the screen?
Yeah, about. It was great though, and I don't know why I thought it was gonna win. But I should have known better because I actually picked obviously Back to the Future, and it's
Yeah.
so popular. So
Well, yeah, it was fun going back to watch these again. We're gonna have an interesting talk, but first we want to get to some news. And big news that just happened before we hopped onto the show was a bunch of movies got a release date change from Warner Brothers. The biggest one was Tenet. I don't know what you were expecting. I was I was really expecting this film to hold its release date of July 17th. It felt like Nolan was pushing really hard to stay there, to be that first movie that opens up theaters. And we got really close to where it was going to stay there, but now it's officially changed. But it's only pushed back 2 weeks. July 31st.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone's coming out. What's your reaction to that? Because to me, I think that's good. That means Nolan was really pushing back on the studio, saying, "No, I want this movie to come out in theaters." But the studio said, "Okay, can you just give us 2 weeks? How about that? Let's see what the atmosphere is like 2 weeks after that." And that's where we are today. What do you think about this release date change?
Honestly, for me, it's not that crazy. I would have been pissed had it been a little bit longer because what more perfect way to go back to the theater and to watch a Christopher Nolan event,
Yeah.
So for me, the pushback wasn't too crazy. I kind of did want it to stick to that, July, because again, I still feel like it will be the first movie that we're going to see in theater. I don't think anything's going to be released prior to that.
Well, with this release date change, Mulan is now scheduled July 24th. So now Mulan's supposed to be the first big one. Actually, the first one's supposed to be Unhinged with Russell Crowe July 1st. I don't think people are really going to flock back to see that. I think Mulan is right now scheduled to be the first big
Mulan
film.
will probably be the first big film then, and then Tenet. So
see, what do you think about Mulan? I think Mulan moves at this point. It takes.
Yeah, I don't think Disney's going to take that risk so close to, especially to. I mean, not that it has anything to fear because Disney's Disney, but I feel like Mulan will probably move to maybe an October or even November date. I think it'll.
I think. Well, here's the other thing that just happened is Wonder Woman got pushed back from August 14th to now October 2nd, which we'll get to Wonder Woman in a second. But I think Mulan is going to take that old Wonder Woman spot of August 14th. I think that's a good little area.
Actually, that's a good area. Yeah. I didn't know that. I don't know why I kept thinking. I thought Wonder Woman got pushed up because I kept thinking that Wonder Woman was going to come out for Christmas for some reason.
No,
so it's maybe because I have like that Aquaman date.
Yeah. But right now, Warner Brothers has Dune scheduled for Christmas time. So I like that they didn't push Dune off because I feel like people were really thinking that Dune was going to get moved. And I believe that if it gets moved, it's going to get moved a lot, like maybe to Christmas of 2022 or 2021. So I'm glad that they didn't touch it yet. But, theaters are starting to open now. And we're at this.
And AMC, I thought AMC wasn't going to I thought they were going to lose their name. To be honest with you, they were talking about bankruptcy just about a week ago, and I'm like, we're gonna probably AMC is gonna have to sell, or somebody's gonna buy them out and change the name. I thought that was all going to happen, but they're ready to roll, man. AMC said that all theaters are ready to go, so it's good news.
We're at a point now where it feels like there is no perfect time for everything to reopen. It's just we're gonna reach a point where these businesses have to make money somehow, and that by doing that you have to be open. So I think AMC and all these other theaters opening up, it was bound to happen sooner rather than later. All these studios are holding on to these movies, but they're losing money every single day holding on to them. So now they're gonna start releasing their things. They have to get them out. I think you're going to see a lot more movies go to on demand. Also, you're going to see changes.
Yeah, I was saying, Steve. I don't know if you see Steve's comment over here. It says, "How long would these flicks? Flicks be in theater before they start hitting on demand?" And
I think
that all depends on how they do. To be honest with you, I feel like if they start bombing like a Mulan, you can see it about a month later coming on Disney Plus.
Well, that's what happened with all the movies that were out right before the quarantine started. You think of Onward or The Way Back or The Invisible Man, they were in theaters for 2-3 weeks. And then once theaters all closed, they came on demand within 2 weeks after that. So studios have the capability to do this. But if theaters are open, I don't think you're going to see that short period of time, because then the theater owners are going to get involved and say, hey, why are you taking these movies away from us? We need to make money somehow.
Yeah, a la Trolls World Tour.
Yeah, exactly. What do you
Yeah,
think about the Wonder Woman move? Because I think October 2nd is. I've
it's a
heard in
solid date.
circles. I think I've heard in circles. October, that first weekend in October has become one of the most popular dates in the
Whereas what
movie year.
Joker released last year, October 4th.
And then the year before, you
Um,
had Venom and A Star Is Born that same
yeah,
weekend. It's
yeah,
becoming this big, like, welcome back to the fall session of movie season. Like, this is where things
agree.
are start ramping up. I think this is a great date for Wonder Woman. You're getting ahead of Black Widow a month early, and
Yeah.
you're coming in right after A Quiet Place 2. I think this is a nice little slot to slide in there for Wonder Woman, where it's going to really capitalize on everything ahead of it.
Yeah, no, it'll make money. And again, exactly what you just said. I kind of piggybacking off what you said. You saw what Joker did, being a DC film.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman is highly anticipated.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's supposed to be
then
out right now.
Venom, you saw the money that shit made. Stars Born did all right for the box office, but for a not non comic book film, non franchise or anything like that. Well, can you call Stars Born a franchise? There's so many
I think
remakes.
it's more of a blockbuster, yeah.
But yeah, that's a sweet release date, man. I'm all for that. I'm super excited for it. It's actually one of my most anticipated of the year. Is
Wonder Woman?
Yeah, because I just love the first one so much. I know I forgive the third act, which is kind of hypocritical of me because I hate the third act of a lot of DC films.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's their main weakness amongst obviously a bunch of other problems they have. But I feel like the third act of Wonder Woman is weak, but the first two acts are so strong that I can actually forgive that. I not happy with Ares being the villain or the way that everything looks because that's what DC does at the end of their films, just
Yeah.
a big clusterfuck of lightning and red shit everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that Wonder Woman is gonna make a shitload of money because I felt like that movie got it destroyed Blockbuster, but not only that, a lot of people that ended up seeing it that ended up waiting because they don't want to believe the hype when it came on video on demand or Blu-ray or 4K or what have you. And people started seeing that, a lot more people even recognize that movie even more. So I feel like that is going to be a major weekend. It's going to be a big player this year.
I think so too, and I think that's when people are going to feel the most comfortable being back. Which I want to address this right away. I think people are going to flock back to these theaters immediately.
I told you
they're going to do it right away. Look at the
restaurants now.
Here's the thing: the California and the New York people are like, no one's ever going back to theaters. They're not going to do it till the vaccine. I'm telling you, the rest of the country is on such a different page than California and New York right now. Which it is saying something. Is California and New York are the biggest markets here, but the rest of the country is so much further along ahead that they're saying, listen, it feels like the world is saying right now, if you get it, you get it. The coronavirus. If you get it, you get it. We're just going to have to deal with the consequences after that. And it sucks because that's where we come to because we could have prevented this a lot earlier. But this is just the reality of the situation we're in now.
I mean, I don't want to put his business. I don't think he cares, to be honest with you. Marco, our guest for the Field of Dreams, he has coronavirus right now.
Oh, wow. Is he all right?
Yeah, he's fine. I talked to him and he was like, I got the Rona, man. So he's quarantined right now. His whole family got it. His 3 kids, his wife, him, his father-in-law, like that whole house has coronavirus right now. And yeah, dude. Yeah. But I talked to him. He said he's feeling better. He's a week in already, and he's like, I already feel fine. I have to be quarantined, obviously, for the 14 days.
Right.
But he said he felt like it was a regular cold. So it's crazy how it affects some people one way and other people the other. So kind of out there.
Well, Marco, we're thinking about you, man. I guess he's watching right now.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. It's another friend, Marco, of mine. It's not Ramirez, no.
Steve, you embarrassed yourself. All right. Other release date changes that happened though. The Witches, Robert Zemeckis' remake of an old film, moves from October 9th, which was supposed to be this year, October 9th. It has no new release date currently right now. So that's interesting. Maybe they didn't get all their production in before the coronavirus.
What was that movie about? I don't even know about that film.
It's just a remake of an old film. I haven't seen it before. I just know Robert Zemeckis is tackling it. I believe Kate Blanchett's in it. I don't remember off the top of my head. Big one, Godzilla versus Kong moves from this December 20th or not November 20th to May 21st. That movie moved originally from March to November and now November all the way to May. This movie's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be so bad. And you were
You know
just
what sucks? I know we were just talking about this. I really like Skull Island. I
I do
really dug
too.
that film. I thought that film was awesome. It's
It's not a
not
good acting movie.
It's not the Peter Jackson film for me.
No.
I love the Peter Jackson film. But I thought it was like a solid entry. It was definitely a step up from 2014 Godzilla. So that's why I got
think
hyped.
so.
No, see, I do. I'm not acting wise or anything like that, but just on an entertainment value for me, it's a superior film. I was not bored watching that film. Where I remember being bored watching Godzilla. I've liked Godzilla more. I've only seen it one more time, and I did like it more the second time because I was expecting already not to see Godzilla. Um, and that's what kills you the first time you see that movie. That the first time you see Godzilla, you're expecting Godzilla, and you don't see him until the very very end. Even that when the hatchet is closing, you barely see him come. I hate that scene. It's still it bothers me the
Oh, I
second
love
time.
it, man.
I hate it, dude. I hate it because it's
I
like
love that
give it to
movie
me
because,
already.
listen, that buildup is what makes the movie great. Is you keep teasing us, and then that battle at the end works so well because we've been teased so much that now it's time for that release for it to happen. And when he
Yeah, but
just
I mean,
unleashes
it's a 2 hour long movie. And you get 10 minutes of Godzilla. That's my issue with it. You know, again,
I love the scope. I love the way that Gareth Edwards directs it. I just think it's a great time, but I think that franchise has been a steady decline from Godzilla. I thought was the best, then Kong right after it, like just a little bit lesser in quality, and then it just jumps off a cliff with Godzilla King of the Monsters. That movie was so bad, but
and
we'll have to get into it.
so many people will disagree with you, sir.
I know, which is crazy.
There's a lot of love for this movie, and I just don't think it's that great. I really don't think it's that great. I remember even falling asleep how bored I was watching that movie, and it's action packed, but I just didn't care. I didn't care for that film. I thought the characters were stupid. They were, releasing the monsters was their idea for releasing the monster was just idiotic.
It makes no sense.
So the
villain's plot is so bad. Vera Farmiga, I don't know what she's doing in that movie. Same thing with Kyle Chandler. Like he's just yelling at
fantastic actors. And he was in King Kong in Peter Jackson's King Kong. So I wonder if he's gonna be in Kong versus Godzilla.
I got a couple more for you though. We got to get to some of these other release dates. Tom and Jerry moves from this December, which I didn't even know they were making a Tom and Jerry movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's gonna be like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit cartoon with humans.
Okay.
With actual actors. I think that's what I read on that film. That's all I know.
Well, it moves from December 23rd to March 5th, 2021. Only a couple months, but I think that's a good pushback right there. A New Line horror movie is now going to be released on June 4th, 2021, which Scott Mendelson thinks it's Malignant. So we'll see about that. And then the big one is Matrix 4. Got pushed back nearly an entire year, 11 months from May 21st, 2021 to April 1st, 2022, which that's
April Fool's Day.
I don't know if it's coming out then either. So it's interesting that they pushed back an entire year because I just heard reports last week that they're getting back to filming the first week of July. So I guess this movie's going to be pretty huge with effects and stuff and probably a lot of reshoots after this.
Oh, for sure.
For them to have to push it back an entire year. Or
no,
maybe
it's not only that. It's Keanu's schedule. It has to be. I thought the moment they said that John Wick 4 was going to release the same day as Matrix 4, I automatically called bullshit on that. I was just like, there's no way that Warner Brothers is going to compete against each other, release two Keanu films the same weekend, and it's not going to be ready. There's no way that he can commit with John Wick. And then I know for a fact that that Matrix 4 is gonna have a lot of special effects, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, John Wick 4 also got pushed back a couple months ago, and that's May 22nd, 2022. So Keanu's gonna have a good 2 months there in 2022, but it sucks we're
And
so
then he
far
has
away.
the we got Mill on the chat saying what about Bill and Ted 3?
I can't
Um,
comment too much on that. I haven't seen Bill and Ted movies. I saw the
I've seen Bill
trailer.
and Ted movies. I haven't seen the trailer though, you know.
I saw the
Um,
trailer, which is weird. It's very. How do you want to say it? There's not much in it. You see that
the
character
teaser.
plays death real quick, and there's a lot of CGI going on. They're going to the future, but you don't see too much. So it's you can see it as a good teaser, but I don't really understand what's going on because I haven't seen these movies.
You'll like them. I mean, the first one is like light years away better than the second. The second one is fine. There's nothing crazy about it, but I'm just excited to see those characters back, man. They're a lot of fun. They're fun characters. So, and then the adventures that they go on, it's a funny ass movie, dude. So the first one at least. But yeah,
We got a couple more. The Dave Bautista movie, My Spy, which has been pushed back so many times, is
so
finally
many
coming
times.
out on Amazon Prime June 26th.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so I know a lot of people who've seen that movie already, which is, it just shows you how many times it's been pushed back so close to its release date. But now everyone can watch it on Amazon June 26th. Do you have any interest in that?
no, I don't care for it. I mean, it sucks to say that I'm not crazy about Dave Bautista movie. I'm not just not running toward to the movie theater to go see him. I haven't seen Stuber. I told you I haven't seen Blade Runner 2049, even though I heard he's in it for like very very little, but I heard he's great in it. So this is another one that I was just like, all right, whatever. I saw the trailer; it looked fine, and not fine. It's just one of those again where I was like, I'll wait for Netflix, and now obviously it's coming on Amazon on June 26th, so we'll check it out then. But that's the one where he's it's kind of like the Rock movie, right, with the little girl, but he's a spy in this one, right? And then the Rock was a football player. Like
It
that's pretty
it
much the
feels like
difference.
Stuber for kids, from what I can see.
Yeah.
It's because Stuber was him joining with Kumail, and now in this one he's joining with a little girl. I haven't seen it. I really like at this point. I was excited for it when I first saw the trailer, but it's been so long since that happened that it's just kind of out of sight, out of mind at this point. I
Okay.
got one more for you. The one and only Ivan, another Disney movie, is instead going straight to Disney Plus instead and skipping theaters. That'll come out on August 21st. It's a movie about, let me find the IMDb. A gorilla named Ivan tries to piece together his past with the help of an elephant named Stella as they hatch a plan to escape from captivity. It is a live action film. So with
Okay.
Angelina Jolie, Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, Helen Mirren, and Danny DeVito.
Quite
Um,
the cast.
Quite the cast, but it's going straight to Disney Plus, and now Disney has shown to us that going straight to Disney Plus isn't a very good thing because Artemis Fowl came out today, and Artemis Fowl is getting trashed.
It is getting trash, dude.
Yeah,
Trash.
and you pick a
And,
bad weekend to
and, a,
come out.
and a lot of people were excited for that, man. That
It's
that had quite the hype behind it because even me, I was like, all right. Again, it's another one that I saw the trailer. I was like, all right, it's a YA movie. Whatever. Not the
mhm.
demographic for it anymore. But the hype was making me curious. Where I was like, oh, maybe it will be good. I'm probably going to check it out when it comes to Disney Plus. Everyone, I went on YouTube, not even looking for that review, and it's everyone's face in the review is like this or like, what the hell? It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like a little pop up on YouTube. It's insane how like it's getting shitted on like
And
bad.
it's only 90 minutes too, which is something that makes you like, all right, I can go check it out. Even if it's bad, you're like, okay, it's gonna be over soon. The fact that people are just going like tearing this thing apart when it's only 90 minutes, it
Yeah.
just says something. I feel bad for Kenneth Branagh, but I also don't because Kenneth Branagh likes to do these paycheck movies every now and then where he could just make a
Yeah.
quick buck, and that's what
Yeah.
this feels like to me. So that stinks. But you're also releasing on the same day as Spike Lee's The Five Bloods and Judd Apatow's The King of Staten Island. Not a good week in Disney. That was a bad choice. But I know you
Bad
guys were
choice.
the first ones. They were the first ones to choose this date, but man,
Yeah.
did not work out for you guys because no
No,
one's
I
talking
know.
about it.
Which we're gonna review next week because I'll be ready by next week to check both these movies out. And I know you've seen them both, and I think you gave a passing grade to both, correct?
They're the two best movies of the year.
Okay.
Right there with
There
The
you go.
Invisible Man. Those are the three best movies of the year right there. And the fact that two of them came out on the same day is really cool. So you're going to see Oscars definitely for Spike Lee's movie.
Bloods.
The Five Bloods. I think that one definitely deserves something, but we'll talk about that next week. But this week, that's it for news right now. It's time to get to our big show. So last week we decided to forego our discussion on the franchise we were going to do because it didn't feel right to do that. We wanted to talk about something that was more relevant with the time that we're going on right now because we're still in this Black Lives Matter movement. You have to keep your eye on the ball. We're still, working towards change right now. So don't lose sight of that. But it's time to get back for us to what we were supposed to be doing last week, and that is reviewing the Back to the Future franchise, the trilogy. This is one of the most classic trilogies of all time. People talk about this. It was the highest grossing movie of 1985, which, to think about what movies are usually the highest grossing, usually franchises or based on books, based on comics, these properties. And Back to the Future is a completely original property, and the show, like, the public just grabbed onto it and loved it so much. That's saying something.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up watching this film, man. It is in my top 5 of all time, the first one. I absolutely adore this film. I want to say a lot of it I thought was nostalgia, to be completely honest with you, because I grew up watching these films. 1, 2, and 3, Universal, when Universal Studios, where the Simpsons ride, had Back to the Future. It was my favorite ride because I just loved everything about Back to the Future. I'm still pissed off that Universal changed the Back to the Future ride to the Simpsons. That I literally said in the Simpsons ride like a grouchy old man because I hate that the fact that they changed it, and the movie being so beloved. It's not I guarantee you if they had really taken a vote on saying like, hey, what ride should we take out? I guarantee you if like pass holders or people that go, no one said Back to the Future. Everybody was pissed off when they took this ride off, But I thought at first it was nostalgia, and this is before obviously the whole the internet and all that. And then I started you realize how beloved this film is. It's just it's timeless, and I don't and I hate using that word when talking about this movie because it's so on the nose, but it really is a timeless classic for me. It is a film that I've watched over and over again, and I laugh at the same parts. I still get nervous at the end when Doc is trying to put the the light. And it still gets to me where I'm like, hurry up, dude. And I know it's gonna happen. There's 2 times that it happens, in 1 and in part 3, which is the train scene. That train scene is so good. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah, because I wanted this. You said timeless, and I think that's true for the first one. We'll get to the other 2 after that. I think what stands out to me is exactly what you said, is how beloved this movie is, especially this first movie. And that people, universally, it's put in a lot of people's top 10s favorite movies of all time, thinking it's some of the best movies of all time. And for a blockbuster to hold that zeitgeist since 1985 all the way today, like people were still talking about this in 2015 when the year they traveled forward to, and the second film was, it was culturally relevant. The Chicago Cubs won the World Series in 2000.
The next year.
No, in that year.
It wasn't. Right? No. It was 2016 because I remember when they won, I wrote, "You're a year late, guys. What the hell?" It was the year later, but super close. And back then, Miami didn't have a team, and it was the Cubs against Miami in Back to the Future too. So, again, there's little things obviously obviously the future was completely wrong because I remember when he goes back in time, the date that I hate that I don't remember the date right now. Where he goes back, where the future date was when it hit 2015. I'm like, where the hell's my hoverboard, man? That's all I wanted. Everybody, when you saw that movie for the first time, wants a goddamn hoverboard.
Let's stick to the first one for right now, right? So what holds up to you the most about this? Because let me tell you, Huey Lewis in the news, hearing that, the power of love right away.
Hell yeah.
It really sticks out to you. I have a question for you though. Better use of Huey Lewis in the news. Back to the Future, American Psycho.
Don't tell me American. I knew you were gonna say American Psycho. No, man. But for me, I'm sorry. They're both great scenes. Don't get me wrong. And I think we voted that song in American Psycho, didn't we? When we did
Yeah, it was
the
in the
best new
top 10.
songs.
Yeah, yeah.
It was in the top 10, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great. But no, man, that is Back to the Future. Did you know that he was in the film, Huey Lewis?
No, I didn't know. Huey
All
Lewis.
right, so
Yeah.
yeah. So did you? He was in the scene where Marty is trying out for the talent show, and the guy tells him, "I believe it's just too darn loud," and he doesn't get picked. The guy that says that is Huey Lewis.
Oh, wow. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something that I didn't like in the sequels, is especially the second one. They didn't bring you back any Huey Lewis. Like that's something that stood out to me so much, is where's the hit song that's carrying this around? And we'll get to in the second one, but who they chose as an artist to reference in the second one does not hold up at all. And this is what I'm talking about for the first one, is holding up. There's a lot of stuff in Back to the Future that does not hold up, but for some reason we all forgive it because it's such an entertaining film. The Libyan Terrace, that didn't age well at all.
Oh no!
I think that's something that people really, it's really offensive, and we don't need that in the film. But back then they were still using it. And then what else? This didn't age well from the first time it came out, which was, let's just get to it right now. Marty's mom wanting to bang him in in the past. I don't know why that's in the script. I don't know why that was.
I understand why people. I thought that way, obviously, as a kid when I saw that movie. I'm like, that's just weird, you know. But at the same time, you can't blame the character. You can't. The character obviously doesn't know who the hell he is. It's not like, I understand that it's just weird for it to be in the script. That part I understand 100%. You know, but the whole like her continuing and all that shit or whatever, it was just, dude, she had no idea who he was. I guarantee you, because even when she kisses him in the movie, she's like, she kind of like backs up and she goes, I felt like I just kissed my little brother, you know, which is, it's obviously she. So I understand the complaints and all that, but it's not, and it sounds weird to say that. It's not something that really bothers me because I see it in that point of view where she doesn't know who the hell he is, you know? So that's just my argument towards that. So
how do you feel about the time travel in this movie, the rules of time travel?
I know you hate it.
It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense.
I know you hate it. I know you hate it. I mean, again, this is the first time. These, for me, are the rules of time travel. You understand? Obviously, seeing all these other movies now, like you see 12 Monkeys and you see, obviously, Endgame and, Time Cop, whatever. But you see all these other.
You have Terminator, you have Hot Tub Time Machine, you have Star Trek 2. There's a lot of films that do time travel, and most of them follow this same kind of formula that Back to the Future follows.
This for me was the blueprint of time traveling. When I honestly think about time traveling, or if I'm ever going to be able to go time traveling, I always think of, don't let your other self see your other self, and, don't write a letter to yourself, because if you write the letter, anything about the past, it'll change, the future. Like, that's always been my train of thought. So for me, because this was the first time travel movie that I remember seeing and obviously falling so in love with it, this was the blueprint for me for time travel. Even though, yes, I agree with you that it doesn't make sense.
And it was the blueprint for a lot of people for the longest time. Like, you can't fault you for that. It wasn't until, first, time travel is like a concept that I guess maybe one day could be possible, but it's still science fiction at this point. And that's just all we knew. Like, okay, maybe the way Back to the Future explained it, that makes sense to me. You change the past, you're going to change the future. That makes sense to me. But it wasn't until Avengers explained it to me that it doesn't make sense at all. That kind of opened my eyes that, wait, if I leave my present to go to the past, it's not going to change my present. My present, all those people aren't just going to disappear and go away because I left them. I'm just going to create a new timeline. And I guess that makes sense to me way more than what Back to the Future is. Like, with the whole photo and things vanishing, it's a great plot device, but it's so dumb too at the same time.
It just doesn't work. Yeah, I get it. Again, for me, I see this movie literally perfect. Like, I think this is and I brought it up in our perfect film episode. This is one of the films that I put as my perfect film. I think a lot of it again has to do with nostalgia. I think it's just a movie that I hold on dearly, and I shouldn't have. I still think it's perfect at the end, but as you were explaining, you didn't pick your favorite films that episode. You know, you picked films that you literally thought were there's nothing that you can fix about them. And I know there's things that I can fix about Back to the Future, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't touch that film.
Yeah.
You know, and
Something
that is.
Oh, go ahead.
And that's something that I feel like I hope they never do touch. I don't want to reboot. I don't want to remake. I don't even want a part 4. I don't even want a continuation. And a lot of people want it. I know there's a lot of people that want it, you know, but it's just name it something else but it's for me, it's an untouchable film. It's like Jaws. I don't want to see a Jaws again, you know?
I think what stands out to me also about this is, you know, there are so many flaws within this movie, but yet they're all forgiven because there's a lot of things in this film that shouldn't work, but they do because everything just feels like it's been done right. Like Doc and Marty being best friends. It's never explained how, it's never explained why, but that's what it works for them because there's just the way the script develops it and the characters interact. That relationship is so pure. I want to learn more about that. How did they become friends? How did they that's like a father-son relationship in a way more than George McFly is to Marty. I really enjoy that. Like that shouldn't work, but it does.
I always thought he was his grandpa when I was growing up. Like when I always thought he was like an uncle or a grandfather or something. And they never, and this is me, obviously. I saw Back to the Future for the first time, I think when I was like 3 or 4, you know? So I was very small. I didn't, ask all these questions, but I was like, oh yeah, they're just, that's his uncle. Cause I have a bunch of my uncles that I hang out with all the time. So for me, it wasn't a thing until later, obviously, when I started like dissecting the film, where I was like, yeah, where the hell did that relationship start? Like, where did they meet each other? You know, because it's not like Marty has like a taste for science or anything like that. Like, how the hell did that happen? You know, but everything I love. One thing that I do miss, and I don't even want to segue yet to the second film, but I thought the performances throughout in this film is phenomenal. But I especially love Crispin Glover as George McFly.
Well, like, that's the thing with him, man, is he, I guess, had a rough time on the set, and he put off a lot of people, which is why you don't really see him in the next 2 installments. But we'll get to that. Another question I had for you, Biff Tannen. This guy, it's weird. It's weird how we look at him because he's a rapist. He's a rapist.
The way he was grabbing her and he goes, you know you want it. I was like, whoa, dude, relax.
Yeah.
In school, yeah.
And we kind of look at him as this buffoon that, can't finish lines and is drooling all the time and always, looks the other direction when someone says, hey, what's that over there? Like he's stupid. But he's also a rapist. And it's weird when you think about that as he's doing all these things that this man should be in jail. And then a question I want to ask you is, if you're in George McFly's shoes, are you going to hire a guy in the future to try to rape your wife at some point?
No, ever. Not ever. Not ever.
It's weird when you think about it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. Actually, that guy will probably be buried or something. I don't know. And I honestly have to tell you that I never even thought about that the way you did right now. Like that's never crossed my mind ever. Again, I think I'm more forgiving towards this franchise because my love for it, it's literally a childhood film for me.
It's also a childhood movie. Like Biff uses the words butthead to describe people. Like it's such a childish thing to say, but it works for Biff.
Yeah, no, he uses butthead, and again, I had it on VHS, all 3. I got it on DVD. I got it on Blu-ray, and if they release it on 4K, because I'm pretty sure they don't have it on 4K yet, it will be in my collection as well, man.
First one's legitimate classic. I'm completely with you. What would you give it out of 10?
10. I'm 10? Sorry for me. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a perfect film for me. I love it. That is a 10 out of 10 for me. I love the set so much with the 50s. I loved every scene in the diner when they're playing Roll With Me, Henry, the Etta James song. I love the chase sequences that always happen, but the first time you see that chase sequence,
First one's great.
the first one is so great. And just everything about it, the way Biff's car looks, it's just the set design of that film I love so much. And I just love movies that take place in those times. I loved, again, Leah Thompson as Lorraine. I loved her. I love Marty. Marty's just a great character. So is Doc. And Doc not believing Marty at first, and then the dance sequence when they're singing Earth Angel, the first kiss, all that for me is just like it's perfect, man. I love this first film. And I really do.
Marty is such a great character because of you want to be best friends with him. You know, he's grabbing onto the back of trucks while skateboarding, and he's got the hot girl. He's just someone who seems like he's got it all, and he's always in a good mood. He's kind of just he's us in a way because he's asking questions of Doc, and Doc's explaining everything to him. Another thing I want to point out again real quick that you just brought up that reminded me that Johnny B. Good scene when he plays at the high school prom.
Great.
It's fantastic. I love that scene so much.
So I'm telling you, and the guitar riff,
I look forward to it. Go ahead.
The soundtrack to this movie is so great, man. It's so great. You have the Huey Louie, you have obviously the theme, the Alan Silvestri theme. I'm hoping that I have that right. I'm pretty sure I do. That he did the score for this film. Everything, like you pop in that album. So I honestly have that soundtrack. I have bought it on iTunes, and it just plays out. And the great thing is that while I'm driving and the music is playing, obviously it's like you're rewatching that movie in your head, you know. And that Johnny B. Good scene for me, and I love it because it's a Chuck Berry song. Obviously, it's Marvin Berry, his cousin, and then he's like, "Hey, this is the sound you're looking for." It's kind of what Zemeckis grabs. He takes that little scene and he makes a whole movie out of it with Forrest Gump, which is fantastic. How little things that happen, how Forrest taught Elvis how to dance, and just little things like that I love that Zemeckis does. And he did it in this film, and I absolutely love that movie. Love it.
My score would probably be an 8 out of 10 because I just think that despite its flaws, there's still such an enjoyment factor to it that very rare movies have. You don't see it too often. That movies you can go back to and you can see that there's so many things that can be changed about it, but you don't want to change a thing because this movie just flies and it syncs so well. So I'm a fan of Back to the Future. I love the first one, but then we get to Back to the Future too. And you seem like someone who's got a real nostalgia for this entire franchise. Let me tell you, man, this movie was a roller coaster for me. I think as a critic, the first half of this movie is terrible. I do not like the first half of Back to the Future.
No, all the future stuff you don't like.
No, not at all. It's very like, it's sequelitis. It's, well, this worked the first time, so let's just do it again, but put a different.
Yeah, they literally cut and paste. I get that, and the whole chase scene happens with the hoverboards, and him being in the diner and all that. I get that. For me, growing up, this was my favorite one.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, growing up, but what again? It had all the cool things. It had the Nike lace shoes. It had the jacket. It had Michael Jackson.
The future stuff I really liked. I did like the future aspects to it. The flying car highway, which makes no sense, but it's still cool. The Jaws 19 hologram.
Shark still looks fake the whole night.
I like that. What else was there? You have the Doc getting plastic surgery, a weather precision service, just stuff like that. I think is very entertaining.
Yeah,
it just feels lazy at the same time too.
Well, that's the thing. Like, okay, so when Back to the Future 1 ends, I was obviously when I started watching the movie, I think 1 and 2 were out. I think 3 wasn't even out yet.
Okay.
When I started watching that franchise. And seeing 1 end where he's like, where he says the famous line, like, roads where we're going, we don't need roads. And they take off and see the car fly. That, as a kid, blew my mind that there was a car flying. So immediately, obviously, saw part 2, saw the highway in the sky, seeing the cars fly, and imagine I'm watching this movie in 89 or 90 or whatever. And I'm like, wow, that's what obviously that's what I thought the future was gonna look like. 15 years from when I mean, yeah, 15 years
Yeah.
from
Oh no, 25.
from
25 years.
it's 25. Yeah, it was like 2005. It's 25
Yeah.
years into the future, where I even like again I was small, but I was like did the math of how old I was gonna be in 2015, like the whole nine, and I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm gonna be so old. This and that and that. Look at us now, you know. But
Yeah.
but the I remember the hoverboard chase. Loved it as much as I loved it. I loved the first time. Obviously, it's gone down. Like this is my least favorite of the franchise. Surprise,
Yes.
surprise. Um, but I just loved everything that had to do with the future. But once they go to Hilldale for some reason, once they go to Marty's future home and all that, it like dipped for me like right away. Like the beginning was just so exciting when you see everything for the first time. You're like, my God, this movie's awesome. And then it just takes like a dip, him getting fired, the pizza in the oven, like all that family interaction for me, I didn't care for, you know.
When it dips for me is the 80s cafe as soon as Biff walks in, because I'm already getting a little sour at this point because Michael Jackson music is playing, and right now that does not hold up because of all this that's come out about Michael Jackson. I do not like hearing I like his if that song comes on the radio, any of his songs on the radio, I turn it off immediately because it just makes me feel weird. I just don't support what this man's been accused of, and so hearing it in a movie just doesn't hold up for me. But it's when Biff walks, or whatever his name is, Biff Jr. walks into the cafe.
That's no, that's Griff
Griff.
with a
Okay.
G. That's Griff with a G. Yeah.
Griff. Okay. As soon as he walks in, he starts talking. That's when it loses me because he's so over
Like
the top.
like robotic and all that shit, and then he has his face gestures like I get it.
It's so bad. Fly. Oh, shut up, man! Like you're just a big bully that anyone could take down just by punching in the thigh or something. Like get out of here, man! I don't want to. I don't. Why are you still picking on people in 2015? Like go put a headset on and go virtual reality or something. I don't know. Once
you saw the Elijah Wood cameo.
No, what's he doing?
He's in the movie. So, okay, when Marty walks into the Cafe 80, he orders the Pepsi, and then he sees two little kids playing a arcade game. The kid with the green hat is Elijah Wood.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. Little cameo there for you. But yeah, I mean, dude, then that movie lost you in the first like 10 minutes because that's literally the beginning of the movie.
Well, that's the thing. It recovers itself because then we go to Biff steals the sports almanac and then steals the DeLorean and takes off and gives it to his former self. Which, by the way, that's what I would do if I had a time machine. I'd go into the future. I'd find out every team that won everything. To go back.
Marty had the right idea.
Absolutely.
Doc didn't let him execute it. But no, Marty had the right idea.
Yeah. I mean, I would do it instantly. Like go back, and I would do it just if I do it for a year, I'd become a billionaire. If you just bet everything on whatever team's going to win, you're just going to win everything. So Biff does it with his former self, which is a good idea for a villain plot. And then you go to basically Biff World from there. And Biff World, what do you think about Biff World? Because it feels like if Donald Trump gets what he wants, that's where we're going.
Well, there was a big meme going around that when he won in 2016, they had the scene, when you see the first time that shot where you see the hotel, and it's instead of Biff it says Trump Hotels and it's Trump's face, and that's
exactly hair too. He's got the hair.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was a pretty good joke, man. I like that scene. That's when it got me back because you're like, holy shit, what happened? Like, I like seeing Strickland, the drive-by, how dangerous everything was, and learning that George McFly got murdered. So that for me was like
rapist and murderer.
Yeah, and then exactly. And I don't know, it grabbed me back there, and then obviously, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So all that scenario, what were they gonna do? When he finds out the truth that Biff was the one that killed his father, him telling him that he knew about the almanac, when they see it on the newspaper that he has it, all that was, for me, it's great. It, like, again, it picks up. There's by no means do I hate this movie. I just don't love it as much as I did as a kid. And the more I watch it, the more I have issues with it. But
Yeah.
not even more issues. I just like scoff a lot more. Like, you know.
Well,
But
when the movie recovers is when Marty's trying to steal the almanac back. When Biff's trying to chase him, and then they go back to 1955.
1955, yeah.
And then it picks up, man. It really works from there. Is seeing everything that happened in the first movie from a different perspective. That's what I enjoy. It's like in Avengers Endgame when they go back to New York and they're seeing them for their former selves getting to do the battle in New York while they're trying to accomplish a different task. It works because you're like, I remember all this. You know, when Marty sees himself on the stage performing Johnny Be Good, that's cool. So I think the movie recovers a lot in the second half to where, like, okay, now I'm excited to go see the third one. I'm ready to do it. But the first half to me kills it so much that if I had to score this movie, I'd probably give it like out of 5 out of 10. I really did not like the first half at all.
I don't want to say I give it a 5 out of 10. It's probably under like 6, 5, 7 for me. It's just nowhere near as good. Coming obviously from the original film. As a kid, again, it was more the flying cars and all that. But now, as an adult, it doesn't. That first half of the film for me isn't nowhere near as strong. It starts off strong and then it loses me for just a little bit. And then it isn't until they realize that Biff stole the almanac and they're trying to get it back that it picks up again, because now they have to go to 1955. He sees where old Biff gives him, and then he's stuck in the car. Even then, when you see Biff in the street, like after he gets the manure out of his car, and he sees Lorraine in the street, and he runs towards her, and he's like lifting up her skirt like a perv.
Yeah,
you know. So again, no. But all that, and then leads up to Doc basically vaporizing because the lightning strikes the car.
It just shoots him straight to, which they teased throughout the film, 1885 a lot.
Yeah.
You see it on the thing a couple of times. You're like, why is it sitting there? And then why do they keep referencing it? And that's where it sends him, straight to the past. And then, you get to see the first movie from that same perspective again of Marty taking off and going back to his present. But then Marty comes running back up the docks like, listen, it's me from the future.
He goes, no, I just sent you back to the future. He goes, I am, but I'm back from the future. And then he faints.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And I love that. I love the ending of that movie because it cuts, obviously, they edit the original ending. You see the car, the same shot and everything. He disappears. Doc is like, I did it, this and that and that. And then you see Marty running right behind. Yeah. I love the ending of Back to the Future too.
Which leads us into what's your score for that? Well, you said it's like 6 or 7, but then
6 or 7 out of 10. Yeah.
It leads us into the third one, which to me, I think has gotten a lot better with time. And
it has.
There was just this article that came out, how like looking back, retrospective, looking back at it, this movie is a lot quieter and works a lot better than the second one. Like it feels like it's on a different level. To me, the first movie is Marty's film, and the second one's just a mess. And then the third one is really Doc's film.
It is Doc's film.
That's what I appreciate. Is Christopher Lloyd really got to do something with the character, giving him a love interest, and letting him be happy.
That's my favorite thing about this movie. His Clara, not her, but that story, that plot line, that they gave him someone to love. They gave, it wasn't just the scientist that, getting looking out for Marty's future. He never, he went to go time travel, but he always cared about about Marty, and seeing him with Clara, the way that he gets when he dances with her for the first time, dude, it's all great, man. And I really, really love that they gave that story to Christopher Lloyd, because he nailed it, man.
He did. He absolutely did. You don't really get to see those acting chops from him, really. If you look at at the beginning, like they are copy and pasting again, but
my bad. Change the part 2.
Oh yeah. They are copying and pasting again, with him walking to the bar, and then whatever Biff's name is in this one.
He's the Mad Dog.
Mad Dog. Okay, yeah, Mad Dog. I
Mad
love how
Dog
Marty's
Cannon.
name is Clint Eastwood too. I think Clint
Yeah, no.
Eastwood
So,
is
well,
a fun name.
He was Kevin Kline in the first one.
Yeah. And this one,
Yeah,
Clint Eastwood, I think that works really well.
yeah,
But they're doing the same thing, but they're aware that they're doing the same thing this time. They're kind of poking fun of it because the whole chase around the outdoor doesn't go well for Marty in this one.
yeah.
He gets
He
roped
gets,
in.
yeah.
And so
And
I enjoy that. And Doc saves him.
Doc to the rescue, exactly. Something that we don't really see. We see Doc, always driving or anything, but you never really see him in action. I like that they gave him a gun to shoot.
Yeah.
He saves Marty. I thought that was great, and it shows obviously in this movie you just see how strong that friendship is. Even though we've seen it in the first and second one, I just feels like I feel like it's way stronger in this one.
And
You
that
know?
the relationship work. The line that Doc says to Marty when he first sees him is, "I told you not to come back here, but I'm
Yeah,
so happy to see you again." Like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's like, yes, I love these two back together, and you can feel
yeah,
like they
dude.
have a genuine bond with each other. So what my favorite scene in the movie is when they're at the party that very next night. And Mad Dog comes up to the party and he's trying to disrupt everything. And Marty throwing the frisbee at
Yeah.
his hand. I think that stuff works really well, especially in that scene, the music playing and all. That's like it's a good throwback to the first
That
one in a way.
I think ZZ Top, if I'm not mistaken, is who's playing. That's my favorite scene as well, hands down. Besides the climax at the end with the train, but this everything about
Mhm.
this scene, obviously the clock tower is such a character in this film, and seeing them take the picture in front of it when right before it goes up, having the history that they
Yeah,
have with the clock tower, that's just so, so phenomenal to see. Um, the dance between Clara and him, the music, the Marty getting made fun of, even though everybody knows he's a good shot. And then he's like, "Where'd you learn how to shoot like that?" The guy's never shot a gun. He goes 7-Eleven. It's just little things, man. And then when they were talking about the ravine, how Clara was supposed to fall, and they interfered, and then little things like if you notice in the first film, I think it was called like Twin Pines Mall, but
yeah.
because of something that changes in the future, it's called Pines Mall only, not Twin Pines. It's little things that they change. If you go back and see the first one, they change little things. And in this one, it happens again
Hmm.
where the ravine was supposed to be called after Clara, but it's not anymore.
It's Clint Eastwood.
Clean it, yeah, dude, exactly. So it's just so great the little things that they have in these films, man.
I wonder what they thought later on in life when another Clint Eastwood became famous, and they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, like they're
"Oh,
like,
here."
what the hell? Yeah, this guy. Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. But
Um, Go ahead.
yeah, no, I saw one of the comments that I just read right now. Well, I saw Anthony. Anthony said that they had to remake it. I completely disagree.
I think we should have
So
that conversation though.
yeah, no, 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 I can, and I already have an idea. If they were to remake it, something that I would. It was actually an episode that I had for the Nobodies,
Hmm.
where it was like, if you had to remake your favorite film, even though you don't want to, how would you do it? So I'm not gonna say it on this episode. I'll probably use that for here, and I'll let the world know what I think a good ideal is. Um,
See,
but and I
I'm with
see,
you, man. I don't think they should remake it. I think they should do a fourth installment and
yeah,
just have like take place in the future, but not the future they created. Let's say it's like what we are in now,
yeah.
and a couple of kids have discovered like the DeLorean existed, and they've built it in a way, and they somehow Marty gets involved, and they have to go to the past in
I
order
kind
to.
of have a similar idea. I still won't say what it is,
No, but they go
but
to the
it's kind of
past.
similar. That is kind of similar to what I have written down.
And I say at this current present day, let's say Doc has passed away at this point, and
Oh man.
they passed away, and they go to the past because Marty gets to see him one last time. I think that'd be
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I thought you meant like not have Christopher Lloyd in the film
no, have him in
whatsoever.
the film. He's in
Okay,
the
okay.
film, but Marty gets to say goodbye one last time. I think a fourth installment would be really good. Well, it's tough. It's tough now because Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's, and he's not really acting anymore at
Yeah,
this.
yeah, that exactly that. But and then we have my buddy Robin saying, what do you say?
Jules and
How
Verne.
about no, up there. He said, "How about bringing the prince?" Oh yeah, when he's a town sheriff,
Yeah,
Strickland's a sheriff, and he's a badass, bro.
Strickland is cool.
Strickland's a badass. I like him in every single movie that he's in. He's just a bad. But I want to say that maybe part three, he is the best character out of all three, because in the second one it was a quick sequel.
Yeah,
I mean, not sequel, quick little cameo. The first one, he was obviously that dickhead principal, and this one he's just he's a badass sheriff, man.
Yeah.
And then it says Jules and Verne have saved time by. Okay, so Jules and Verne are the are Doc's kids that are in the end of the film. So yeah, man. But anyways, going back.
You think Tarantino saw that and decided to use it for Pulp Fiction?
Oh, I guarantee you that's where he got those names from, man.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Tarantino's such a savant of movie history that he sees everything, and everything inspires this film. So there's not a doubt to me that this inspired the names of Jules and Vincent in a way.
And he is a Western fan, like
yes, that's true.
He's a Western fan, and this is the Western Back to the Future, dude. Which again, growing up, this was my least favorite because I found this so boring. I was bored watching this movie. The very beginning, it takes time. I feel like it takes forever for him to get to Hill Valley in the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And it really doesn't. It's about maybe 15, 20 minutes tops, But I felt growing up that I just didn't care for it. Even the ending, I really it ended for me, and I was like, oh, okay, like the other two are way better. And on my revisit, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I want to say, where I saw this one, I'm like, this one's so badass. And then obviously on every rewatch after that, it automatically became my second favorite one. It is a strong film. Again, everything with Doc and the climax at the end. Let's get to that.
Let's talk about that. That's the best part. Not the best part, but one of the best parts of the movie is that whole train scene. Well, not even before that. When Mad Dog comes to town and challenges Marty, and Marty puts on such a badass performance wearing the chest thing, which I did not see coming at all.
Well, they teased that in part two.
Mm-hmm.
So in part two, when he goes to talk to Biff, to alternate 85 Biff, and he's in the hot tub with the two girls, he's watching a Clint Eastwood film. And Clint Eastwood, when they shoot him, he falls down and he gets up and he says, "Bulletproof vest."
Yeah.
Genius. And that's what Marty does in part three, which is phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And he taking down Mad Dog, which is essentially Biff. I really enjoy watching that moment. But then the train sequence at the end, I genuinely they're not going to get out of here in time. And they don't. They don't, because Doc takes off with Clara, and Marty's just like, I guess I'm going back by myself. And then once they get back and the DeLorean gets crushed, you're like, damn,
it's Marty, over.
That's it. You're not going to see any more movies, and the DeLorean's destroyed. Marty doesn't know how to build a DeLorean. It's a time machine, so he's never going to see Doc again. But you can't keep a good scientist down. And that's what you see at the end, where the train comes in, then the train takes off at the end by flying away.
Just flying away.
It's a great way to end the series. Let's get to some of the categories real quick. So instead of doing the categories for one specific movie, we're just going to do it for the entire franchise.
Let's do it.
So best scene. There's a lot to choose from, but to me, I always go back to the Johnny B. Good scene in the first one, where Marty's playing the rock music on the stage during the dance. That's my favorite moment. I look forward to every time I go back to the Future. I love that song, and I love Marty being able to show off what's going to come to these people in the future, the different type of music that they're going to see. It's just a lot of fun to me. So that's my favorite scene, and I think in the entire franchise.
So for me, there's two, and they're both in the first film. So I absolutely love like I said, the scene right before the first chase, the first Biff Marty chase, where George McFly finds Marty, and he's like, Darth Vader says that if I don't ask Lorraine out to dance, he's gonna melt my brain.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then they go into the thing, the music's playing, again, it's the Etta James Roll With Me Henry song, and everybody's dancing, everybody's having a good time. Biff interrupts, becomes that chase scene. Love that. And then so I look forward to that scene every time, and it brings a smile. Even when he's running out of the diner and you hear the theme of Back to the Future, and he breaks the card and he starts skateboarding off. Phenomenal work. and then you're the scene that you just said, but not Johnny Be Good, that entire scene right before where he's playing Earth Angel. I
Okay.
love that scene where he's like falling down because George is not making his move, and then the guy takes Lorraine away, and and then he can't play, and then they finally kiss, and then he comes up, he sees the picture, everything's all good. From that to the Johnny Be Good scene, I just love the Enchantment Under the Sea dance so much, and it's again one of my favorite scenes in that movie. Those two are like literally neck and neck for me. I love that movie. But go ahead.
We'll move on to the next one. Best line. I think there's only two contenders here. It's
Great Scott.
It's Great Scott to me is the answer. It's the only answer, but I think we're Rhodes. Where are we going? We don't need Rhodes. Is also deserves a shout out. But Great Scott is the line of the entire franchise because Doc uses it so much. It makes no sense, but it's fun to say. We still say it today.
And then in that movie, as you're watching the movie, like I think the movie ends and you'll be saying it throughout the day. It sticks with you, man. But yeah, it has to be Great Scott.
Yeah, there's no other options for this one. I'm renaming this next award because last week it was the Michael Keaton Let's Get Nuts Overacting Award. I'm changing the name or the person we're honoring for this. This is now the Gary Oldman Everyone Award for Best Overacting after his line in the Leon the Professional.
In The Professional.
I love that movie, and I think that works. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just yelling. Everyone. So who wins the award for best overacting? Because I go
Back to the Future
Biff
too.
in the second movie.
Biff, absolutely. I'm telling you that it's cringy. It's cringy, dude. Seeing him, I don't know. Even when he says "batter up," it's just like that. He has a stupid smile, and I don't know, man. That as a kid, it annoyed me. But I understand that. Again, it's the character, I guess, but they didn't have to do it that way, man. I don't know. For me, it wasn't. Yeah, dude. So Griff for me is definitely the winner. Actually, we should name it the Griff Award, the Thomas F. Wilson Award from now on. To be honest with you, I'm completely on board for that.
We might have to, but I just love Gary Oldman in The Professional.
Yeah. No, I love that movie. The Professional is amazing. Such a phenomenal film.
Let's do the Mahershala Ali Wan Award for Best Sharpshooter. I would probably go. I think you have a couple options here, but I'm gonna go with Mary Steenburgen in the third one.
What was? I'm sorry, dude. I was reading the comments.
It's basically the best sharpshooter award. It's the Mahershala Ali Best Sharpshooter Award, where you come in for a couple scenes and you leave impact for the rest of the time.
Clara, absolutely. Clara.
I think she
hands down, because no one else. It's that, and can you really? I mean, is Leah Thompson really a psych? She's not. She's a main character. She's not a sharpshooter.
Movie, yeah.
Yeah, she's in every single movie. So I would get performance-wise, like I would give it. Can you give it a Crispin Glover because he nailed it? But he was a main character in the first movie.
I can't do it.
So it would have to be Clara, man. She went in there. She nailed that role. Made me fall in love with her character. To be completely honest with you, I love her character so much. So yeah, that would be my choice as well.
I think there's also a conversation to be had for Strickland. I think Strickland is a lot of fun, and especially in the second and third movies. But yeah, this is Clara's award to win. We have the Bill Murray Award for Best Cameo. I really don't know. There's not too many cameos in these films. Like you said, ZZ Top for the band.
Elijah Wood, Huey
Lewis.
Wood.
I don't think
Lewis is in there.
Too many.
I mean, Flea's in the movie from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, yeah, in the third one.
yeah, he's in the third. Well, he's in both. He is in a video conference call because he's the one that tells him to do the deal before he gets fired, like setting him up. So that's Flea, and then he's in the third one before the car accident. But I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know. Strickland's a cameo.
Let's give it to Strickland. That's it.
I'll give it to Strickland. Strickland is a cameo.
And things that don't make sense to me. Can you explain to me the journey of Einstein the dog in all three of these films?
No idea.
I don't understand.
It's just something I don't question. Like I said, because he's there all the time. I mean, they try to save that in one of them where he's like, I have to go back and pick up Einstein.
Yeah.
So they do mention it in one of the films.
But in the first one, he's in 1985, and he does time travel for a minute. But then when Marty goes back to the past and he meets Doc Brown, there's a dog there. Is that Einstein? Because it doesn't make sense if it is, because that means that dog's 30 years old at this point. So
they're all Einstein. He grabbed them from the past and brought them from the. Oh no, he grabbed them from the past and brought them from the future. No, not the future. I'm sorry. It's the same freaking dog.
it's the same dog?
It has to be. Of course it is.
So that dog's 30 years old.
No, he time travels with him.
But it's like a puppy in the first one.
Is he?
Yeah, it's a smaller dog. It looks
In
nothing
the first,
like.
Oh! You're talking when he goes to 1955.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I completely blanked there.
I see. Like, I don't understand the journey of Einstein. he's just pops up in areas. He's always there. It's always good to have your dog with you. But I was just confused on.
I'm like, does he bother you? Leave him alone, bro. What did Einstein do to you?
No, he doesn't bother me. I'm just wondering where he's at for most of this time. Who's taking care of Einstein while they're time traveling from the future to the past?
Yeah. Before we jump on, Robin, hold on. Robin wrote something. He wrote those boards don't work on water scene when Martin acquired. I guess he's talking about great scenes. When Marty acquires a hoverboard, it has to be up there in important scenes. How many times that board saves butts across the film? And it's absolutely right. It happens in the third one. It happens in the sequel. And then he wrote Billy Zane for Best Cameo Award.
You can do it.
Yeah,
he's a contender. We should start coming up with nominees going into this, and then just kind of read them off and have a discussion about it every single week.
Absolutely, dude.
But okay, let's do Apex Mountain then. Because I have a bunch for Apex Mountain. Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Robert.
You can even argue Zemeckis. That's what I was saying. Zemeckis has some he has great filmography, but I think this is hands down his best.
Liam Thompson, you could say I don't know what his name is again. But the guy who plays Biff,
Crispin Glover, Thomas F. Wilson, Einstein the dog. Elijah Wood.
I don't think you can give it to Mary Steenburgen in the third one, but basically everybody in this entire series is Apex Mountain. Alan Silvestri too. I think Alan Silvestri is a person we can discuss. I don't know if it's Apex Mountain because Avengers I think is pretty iconic at this point.
Yeah, but if you put a poll up, this is going to Back to the Future.
Yeah, but he's also done like Forrest Gump and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he's done all of Zemeckis' films.
I understand that, but I guarantee you, if you put this versus all of them, this will win. I promise you that. And don't get me wrong, you're not taking away from the man's work. The man's a genius at his craft. He's one of the best composers out there. Yeah. But I feel like this is his Apex Mountain.
What about Zemeckis then? Do you want to have that discussion? Is this his Apex Mountain? Because he didn't win an Oscar for this, but has Zemeckis won an Oscar? I think he did for Forrest Gump. I don't remember though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did win for Forrest Gump.
But is Back to the Future the height of his powers? Because I don't know if it is.
I think it is for me. I mean, again, you can argue Forrest Gump is better than Back to the Future. Forrest Gump did win an Oscar. Personally, for me, I think Back to the Future is better than Forrest Gump. As much as I absolutely love Forrest Gump, I love that movie, and I brought it up even today. It's better than Castaway. What did he do lately that bombed completely?
Flight. I love Flight.
Flight is fantastic. Flight is fantastic.
The Walk I thought was very entertaining, even though I know it kind of got overlooked. Welcome to Marwen was so bad, though.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay, that movie is so bad.
Yeah.
What else we got in here? Yeah, like you said, Castaway, Allied. No one really talked about when that came out. Polar Express, that's a beloved Christmas classic at this point.
My kids absolutely love that movie. I've seen that movie so many freaking times because of them. I love it too. It took me a long time to actually watch it. He did another one. Didn't he do?
Romancing the Stone.
He did Christmas Carol as well, right?
Yeah, he did that one also. He was experimenting with motion capture animation for a while, and I think that kind of hurt him for a bit. I would say this is from 84 to probably till 90, I think is his apex mountain, because he goes from Romancing the Stone to Back to the Future, and then Who Framed Roger Rabbit in between that, and then ending with Back to the Future Part 3. Even like people love Death Becomes Her. That's another great one too. And
Have you seen that?
I've not seen that one.
It's great. It
Okay.
is great. So yeah, that so look, that becomes okay. So I actually really like What Lies Beneath, and I felt like that movie. Have you seen that with
No.
Harrison Ford? It was a very well known thriller back then. I saw it recently. I hate that ending so much. I hate the ending of that film so much. But it's a great film that just didn't know how to end.
Yeah.
But I do recommend you watch it. Robert Zemeckis has actually worked with, and a lot of people don't talk about this film. And I saw it recently. I want to say about a week and a half ago to 2 weeks ago. I happened to catch. Actually, you know when I saw it when HBO Max came out. It's a Zemeckis film with Michael J. Fox. I don't know if you've ever seen The Frighteners.
No.
That movie is so awesome because it's like a horror. It's kind of like a Zombieland. It's a horror comedy. And it's, he's a medium that talks to ghosts, and then there's an evil serial killer ghost that's trying to kill a bunch of people. It is super dope, but it has a lot of comedic element to it. It is on HBO. Watch it. I don't know if you're gonna love it as much as I did, but I definitely recommend it. And I completely forgot. Robert Zemeckis actually didn't direct it. It's a Peter Jackson film, but Zemeckis was the producer on it. And but definitely recommend it, man. That's one. What other one?
I think Zemeckis is probably the filmmaker of the 80s, if you really want to get into that discussion one day. I think he was kind of the leader at this point, because Spielberg dominated the 70s, and his 80s films were mostly early 80s were the ones that stood out, but then he got into the more deeper stuff with something like The Color Purple or Empire of the Sun, and it wasn't these big blockbusters like Robert Zemeckis did. I think Zemeckis kind of took that role and ran with it. So yeah, I think the Back to the Future is Apex Mountain.
It really is, man, because I'm looking at it now. It goes from Romancing the Stone. Well, I mean, he has other movies before that, but nothing you'd remember, right? So he has Romancing the Stone, then Back to the Future, 84 and 85, right?
Yeah.
Then he had a movie called Amazing Stories, and then in 86, then in 88, he had Who Framed Roger Rabbit. 89, he had Back to the Future. 90, he had Back to the Future 3. Death Becomes Her is a great film, which is his follow-up film after Back to the Future. Then after that, he did Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Then he did Contact, which I'm personally not a big fan of Contact. I don't like that movie.
So we could say the 10-year run of 84 to 94 is probably his Apex Mountain right there.
Absolutely. But then if you get into his, 2000 stuff, his 2000 stuff isn't great. At least the 2000. Because he has Castaway, Polar Express, but then Beowulf, I wasn't crazy about it. And then he had a Christmas. I really dug A Christmas Carol. I did like that movie. I felt like it was a little creepy for kids because I took my little brother to see it and he freaked the fuck out watching it. And then he did Flight, which is phenomenal. Then The Walk, I have not seen. So
it's good. It's good.
So I haven't seen The Walk. And then he has Allied, Welcome to Morrowind. So his last two films.
He really doesn't have big dips until where he's at right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what The Witches does for him. But let's wrap this up with who won the movie, because I think you have a lot of options here.
I think everyone won the movie, to be completely honest with you.
Who won the franchise? Because to me, I think Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, man. But you can argue that about Christopher Lloyd, and you can argue that about Robert Zemeckis as well. I'm telling you, Leah Thompson, Kristen Glenn, everybody in this film won. I feel like this was we have to give we're gonna call this the Oprah Prize, man, because everybody won. Honestly, everybody won in this film.
You can't give trophies to everybody.
No, I know. I mean, if
I give it as
I guess and you can argue Michael J. Fox as well. Like I said,
I think those are your two. I think those are your two that really are contenders for it. You know what? I'm with you. I give it to Michael J. Fox. Here's why. Even in the second film, he's trying his best to ground it as much as possible to be that same Marty. as you saw in the first one, because even when Biff's being super crazy and, Christopher Lloyd's really not in the second one as much, it's Michael J. Fox who's grounding it. And then in the third one, he's there to be the supporting character basically to Christopher Lloyd. So, I would go Michael J. Fox because he carries this entire series. And he doesn't carry, I guess, because everyone contributes a lot, but he's really the spine of it, the heart of it, I guess.
Yeah. No, agreed. And I don't feel like anybody, like, no one's topped their performance for this. And you can even say, no, see Marty, because even saying Zemeckis co-wrote this. Like this, with him and Bob Gale.
An Oscar for it.
Him and Bob Gale. So imagine that. Like it's crazy. Imagine that's nuts to write something that is so beloved. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
So
that's gonna wrap it up for us. The fun Back to the Future episode. It was interesting revisiting these movies, especially. I think we're kind of consensus with it. It goes 1, 3, 2 for both of us. If you had to rank them, and I'd say
that's the general census. I think, to be completely honest with you,
it probably goes 1, 3, the second half of 2, a big drop off, and then the first half of 2. I think that's basically how people look at it. But thank you everybody for joining us. We have a lot of guests lined up throughout these next couple of weeks, so be prepared for weeks and weeks of guests coming up. We're gonna have fun topics. We'll get another poll up for another franchise episode for the end of next month. So be prepared. It's a fun show we got going on here, guys. So thank you all for joining us. We had a lot of people in the chat today. Jader, you got anything you want to say?
Just want to give a quick shout out to buddy Brad Gilmore. Sorry, I just butchered the hell out of his name. He actually wrote this book called Back from the Future, which is pretty phenomenal so far. I'm not completely done with it, but I'm having a great time reading it. And it's he has a podcast actually that talks about the Back to the Future podcast. Obviously, he's writing the book. But yeah, I would check this out if you're a fan. It has, all the little secrets. Like I said, it talks about the cameos, the soundtracks, the rough production time, because obviously not every, no great film was ever done smoothly. So it talks about everything that you can imagine about, interviews with, Christopher Lloyd and all that stuff. So I would definitely give this book a read. It's on Amazon. It's $20, nothing too crazy, and it's not too long. So definitely try to check this out if you're a fan of this franchise, which I think, given the how many people watch and how many people gave comments, I think people do care. So definitely check this out. But yeah, man. But other than that, no, we're good, man. Thank you guys for joining us.
We had a lot of
you guys like the review. Yeah, definitely. We're getting up there, man. We're somebodies.
So thank you guys again, and we will be back next week for another episode of the Jader and Kyle Show.